Permiso, buenas tardes. Welcome to Andres Rodriguez English Coach Program. It's 2 minutes. Okay. Well, I send my greetings to all the provinces where people and teachers are coming. So welcome to the program. We are going to start. Welcome, Mr. Juan, Yvonne, Mercedes, Maria Gaibor, Dolores, Alexandra. Welcome to be part of this program. And we're going to start. Okay. So today we have a very interesting topic, okay? I will present our special guest, Rafaela. Hello, welcome. So,
Hi,
Rafaela is a Yachay professor, okay? She works in Yachay University, and she has an interesting background. You know, she had a master's degree program in Polytechnic University. She belongs to the co-teacher program, and she belongs to other group of against violence, and that's very important. You know, education is an important key. We're going to present Rafaela. Welcome. So, what can you tell us about your topic?
Oh, thank you, Andres. Good afternoon, everybody, dear colleagues. Thank you so much, Andres, for this opportunity. I'm so happy to be here and share a little bit, not exactly my knowledge, but maybe a little bit my experience and my reflection. So if you allow me to, whenever you tell me, I'm ready to start to share with my colleagues.
Yes, I'm sure. I think that you can start at this moment, no? People are coming up and they follow us in Facebook Live, so I can read the questions when people start asking, or I can read them in order to continue with the topic. Okay. So we can go on.
Okay, thank you, and nice to meet you, all of you.
Okay, thank you.
Good to have you here.
Keep going, please. Keep going, right? Keep going.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start. You hear me well, right? Everything is right. Can you hear me? Yes? Yeah.
I think so, yes.
I can hear you. Your voice is very sweet and nice.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is, please confirm that you are able to see my presentation. Can you see my presentation, my PowerPoint? Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is my topic today, education in time of crisis, vital lessons learned from emergency remote teaching. So in order to start, I'd like to share very briefly my objective for this presentation is just to share 5 lessons about online teaching practices and abundance, okay? And to enrich or enlighten the teaching experience of others, like other colleagues, that maybe what I'm going to share, you may find it helpful. And I hope that, I really hope so. So I'm really happy to know that there is this kind of opportunities like the one Andres is promoting, for having a community of English teachers that are willing to learn, to share, educate on our own, and of course learn from other teachers. So I'd like to start with this quote that I really like, from Michael Fullan, who is a contemporary writer on educational change, which reads as teachers' capacities to deal with change, learn from it, and help students to learn from it will be critical for the future development of societies. And I think we as teachers have shown during this, pandemic period that we have the strength and we are resilient enough to show our students that we are strong enough to overcome these situations, learn from it, and continue working on what we really want. In this case, which is teaching, and our students, which is to learn. So I think this pandemic period, let's say, has been a great chance to show our strength, our resilience, our knowledge, and our all capacities to adapt quickly and obviously support our students. So, and I know that all this transition period have been very difficult for all of us because since everything happened, overnight, we were not fully prepared to immediately start with this online or these new trends of education, which is completely virtually. And some of us may have had some inquiries, right? Like we were not able to do interactive activities, fun activities, uh, build a rapport with the students, or some of us may have thought that a lot of the communication may be lost, right? But what I want to highlight here is that it's better for us to focus on what could be gained rather than what could be lost, right? So, and I think that this opportunity of the pandemic has been great for us to learn a lot, because if this couldn't happen, we were not we wouldn't have paid attention on how we can educate ourselves, on how can we train ourselves to be able to become experts on online instruction. So I want to focus on that, on all the benefits that we have gotten from this experience. And what I'm going to share with you today is based on my self-reflection. And you may be wondering why self-reflection is important. And I think self-reflection is important because when we pay attention in a very when we are aware on what we are doing, when we pay attention, when we really pay attention what we are doing, we can evaluate ourselves, we can question ourselves in a positive way to see if what we are doing is correct or not. And especially because if we put names, on some situations that are going on or the things we do, when we put names, when we label situations, it's easy for us to identify what things could be improved and what things we need to keep working on, right? So, and I think that self-reflection and when we share it's important because it has two purposes. When we self-reflect, it means that we pay attention on what we are doing, so it enriches our own practice as teachers. And when we share what we have learned from our self-reflection, may lighten the path of other teachers. So that's my purpose today. I really hope that some of the things I'm going to share with you, you might use, you find it useful, helpful, or maybe you totally disagree, or maybe you find a new perspective on how the things you do. So I think that in any point or the other, this is going to enrich our experience as teachers, and I hope you find that too. Okay, so let me share with you the 5 lessons I've learned from this experience. I know that things are becoming better and better each day, right? Things are becoming more flexible now, but we still are on the environment or of totally virtual education, right? Even though maybe our families are getting back to their jobs and we can just go around and take a walk in the street, but education is still the same virtually. So far, none of us has gone back to our schools yet, right? So therefore, I wanted to share with you the lessons I learned from this experience. So the first lesson I got from all of this transition, is that I learned to prioritize the use of the webcam. So as you know, all of this new trend of education brought with it its own challenges. And one of them is that every student and every teacher has their own learning environment, right? Since we are not all in the same place, all of us have different things to deal with, right? And that is what I want to focus now. Okay, but before sharing with you how I learned this, I would like to make a poll. And this poll is going to be based on one of the biggest challenges that we as teachers and learners face, which is the biggest question, right? Have the students to, should the students have their cameras on all the time? Do you think that it's extremely important for the students to have their cameras activated all
Eh,
the time? So
excuse me, miss. I had a question for you, right? This is a good topic for you and me. So every Monday I need to get class, but in the majority of the students they don't turn on the camera. What and why? Because I suppose that they are changed. Yes or no? Because if one student don't turn on the camera, they are not communicating face to face. I suppose that.
okay,
Can you explain me please that?
yes, I will. During my presentation, I will respond to your question. So after what I share, what I have to share with you, you may find the answer or you may find a new perspective on your question. Okay, so let me share with you what I have for you today, and then you can keep me making more questions. Okay, is that good? Is that okay? Yes, that is a
Thank
good
you so
question.
much, Mr. Juan, for
Thank you,
Yes.
Miss.
your
Of course,
contribution.
okay.
Okay.
I I agree with you completely, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the
Okay.
question that I had when I started to make this presentation when I had all these problems. But before sharing my point of view, please, dear Andres, could you share with us the poll? Because I would like to see what the other teachers think on this matter. Can you release the poll, please?
I just click on poll, no? I just click
Yes.
on that, no?
Yeah. So I
Uh,
invite the colleagues to answer this question that is going to be
okay,
shown on the screen.
just something. In the screen appears to me that they are still voting, no? The question, uh, I don't click in end polling. I just leave them completing, or
Yeah,
I
but
click.
how many participants we have? Okay, we should have at least 17 answers. Everybody vote already?
Uh, I have 17 answers. Yes, 13 from 17 in total.
Okay, can you show the results, please?
All right, I do it.
Mhm. Okay, the question that I made to you was, should the students have their cameras on or activated all the time? So my options were yes all the time, just sometimes, or not necessarily. Well, according to this poll, I can see that there is almost a tie between just sometimes, not necessarily, and a bigger portion of the participants think that the students have to have their cameras activated all the time. Okay, so now I'm going to share my point of view on this matter. Thank you very much for sharing your opinion with us. And let me share with you what I think and my experience on this. But before that, before sharing that, I know, let me tell you that what I'm going to say may be a little bit controversial for some teachers, for some parents, for some authorities or some institutions, right? But I think that differences is what make us grow, learn, and create new things. So remember that this is my point of view, and we apply these things according to the place we are and according to the possibilities we have, right? But this is my experience and this is what I consider the healthiest thing to do. So before telling you what I have done, I would like to know if some of you have any idea of what Zoom fatigue is. Do you know what Zoom fatigue is? And for this, I want you to write in the chat box, or if you're watching this transmission from Facebook or YouTube, can you write in the comments, what do you think Zoom fatigue is? Can you write in the comments, please? Write in the chat box in the Zoom. Dear colleagues, can you write in the chat box what do you think Zoom fatigue is? Please write in the
Uh,
chat box.
Rafaela, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you in this question, when you refer to Zoom fatigue, is referring to tiredness when people feel tired.
Therefore, I'm asking you just to tell me what do you think is Zoom fatigue. Just tell me what do you know about. Maybe you don't know anything, or maybe you know you have an
Okay,
idea. Just write your predictions, your thoughts. Feel free to write what you think.
okay. So teachers, you can write your predictions or your interpretations about this question. What is Zoom fatigue? I don't have any idea about it. I can make an assumption from what is Zoom
That's
fatigue.
fine. Just write what you think it is. What do you interpret by Zoom fatigue? What do you interpret by that? Just write in the chat box because I would like to.
Mr. Juan, would you like to participate? Would you like to say something?
Yes, of course, mister.
Okay,
Enseguida.
you can go.
Okay, so one of my the colleagues said that probably it's having the camera on all the time. Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else would like to? Okay, Andres, you mentioned something about tiredness, right? Okay, that's fine. Okay, good, good. So let me tell you something. Okay, now let me tell you what Zoom fatigue is. So Zoom fatigue is, as Andres said, is a kind of exhaustion, to be extremely tired, and these things happen because a person attends several video conferencing calls during the days for extended period of time, and this produces their brains to drain. So when you feel after a video conferencing call that has lasted for more than 1 or 2 hours, and then you have another one to attend, and then you feel drained, you feel stressed, you feel tired, it means that you are going through Zoom fatigue. Okay, so Zoom fatigue is something that I said happens to the person who attends a video conferencing call for a long period of time, and this happens because the brain needs to make an extra effort in order to establish or receive the information. And why this happens? Let me tell you why this happens. This happens because when we are in a face-to-face environment, and when we communicate with a person in a face-to-face meeting, our brain relies mostly on body language, right? So as you can see here in this chart by Dr. Albert Mehrbarian, says that our communication, especially in this case, our brain, when we communicate, relies on body language in the highest percent, as you can see here, in 55%. So our brain pay attention to body language. In a lower percentage, our brain, when we communicate, pay attention to the tone of voice, to the intonation, on how we express things. And in a much lower percent, our brain relies on spoken words. So imagine how much is lost during video conferencing calls, right? So therefore, our brains needs to make an extra effort, needs to be alert more than usual in order to receive a message, and obviously in order to react to that message and to be able to respond to that, right? So this is what produces Zoom fatigue, because our brain makes a lot of effort in order to receive the message, and because we don't rely on body language, and because we mostly we don't pay a lot of attention on the tone of the voice, right? Therefore, this produces, Zoom fatigue, because our brain makes an extra effort in order to receive the message. And apart from that, let me tell you something else. We have to deal with the fact that even though maybe a narcissistic syndrome, right? When we are in a video conferencing calls, and when we have our cameras on, we tend to look at ourselves all the time, right? We are a little bit like narcissistic. We love to see ourselves on the camera, and we are aware of that. And apart from that, we know that there are more people looking at us, and these people also know that we are looking at them. So imagine how much of our energy, of our attention, is focused on something that's not really important, because what is important is what's being transmitted on the video conferencing call, right? So our brain has to deal with many things, with the mirroring ourselves, looking at others, and apart from that, imagine our students. The students have to deal with the environment that surrounds them. They have to deal with the tools we want them to use. They have to deal with instructions they are given. And so there are many things that the students have to deal with. And this produces for them sometimes anxiety. Okay, so anxiety doesn't allow students to assimilate, to learn, or to completely understand what they are being taught. Okay, so that's what I wanted to have you to clear, so that you can have a background on why I'm going to share this with you. So therefore, I found during that my live class sessions that there are some specific moments when the students needs, or it's mandatory for them to have their cameras on. Okay, so the first moment that I identified is extremely important for the students to have their cameras on is at the beginning of the lesson. And why it's important for them to have their cameras activated at the beginning of the lesson? Because at the beginning of the lesson is when we make accountability of the students. You know, we have to check that they are present, that they are there, that they are the person who said they are, you know. And also at the beginning of the lesson is when we make when we bond with the students, like, right, is when we ask them questions like, how was your weekend, what did you do, how do you feel today, things like that, right? So this is the moment when there is a spontaneous communication, and therefore it's extremely important for them to have their cameras on. Another specific moment I found that is extremely important to have their cameras activated is when we give instructions, especially when the task is a little bit complex and it involves a lot of stages. Okay, why? Because we are guiding them step by step on the things they need to do, especially if we are using a new website or a new app or something, right? So we need to track them to see where they are, guiding them, and we need to get feedback from them like, hey, put your thumbs up if you are in this step, not with your head, or say yes or say something, right? To see if they are on the same page than us, right? So therefore, it's extremely important during this time, during these moments, to have their cameras activated when we give instructions, especially for complex tasks. Another specific moment, and I know that in this one all of you agree, is during test time. Obviously, because we want to give reliability on the test they are taking, and we want to validate the test because they need to show their knowledge. I know that we cannot control everything, but we do what we can do so far, right? So at least in, when we watch them during test time is how we monitor them, right? Okay, and the last specific moment I identify is when the students report back. So when we want this, when the students to report or to react toward a text, toward a video, or to report what they have discussed in a group session. So there should be students have to have their cameras on, okay? Because during this time is when there is direct interaction with the teacher and with other students, right? So these are the four specific moments I identify that was extremely important, and I think mandatory that the students have to have their cameras on. And the pattern that you can see here, even except from letter C, which is test time, the pattern that you can see here is that there is direct interaction with the teacher or with the students. When you see that there is going to be interaction, direct communication, spontaneous communication, students have to have their cameras on during these specific moments, okay? So, and at this, in the same way, I found out that there are some moments, other moments, when the students do not need to have their cameras on. So I think during these specific moments I'm going to share with you, we can give the students their freedom to choose whether they activate or deactivate their cameras, okay? And what are those moments? So the first one is when they They are completing listening and reading tasks. Why? Because what we want to focus on is on the listening, on the audio, on the video. We want them to focus on the text, on the activities they are doing, right? We don't want them to focus on how they look on the camera. We don't want them to focus on how the other people look on the video, right? Or we don't want them to focus on how the teacher look on the video, right? So we want them to concentrate on the audio, on the video, on the text, and their brain is busy. So it's not necessary for them to incorporate another thing to be distracted on, okay? Another specific moment that I think that the students do not need to have their cameras on is when they are working collaboratively. So if they are working in groups, they are, maybe writing an essay in a collaborative way, they are doing something together. So when they are working on something, it's not necessary to activate their cameras because they are busy, right? Their brains are busy. They are typing, they are talking, they are creating. So we want to protect these moments, protect their attention, protect their energy, right? Another specific moment, which is similar to the first one, is when they are completing individual tasks. Maybe it's not a listening or reading. Maybe it's a vocabulary task. Maybe it's a grammar task. So it's individually. When they are working individually, they don't need to activate their cameras. We want them to focus on what they do. We want them to concentrate on the activity we have provided them. And there's something important on these specific moments. These moments needs the characteristic of these moments is that their brain, their minds are focused on something. They are working on something. They are actively participating on something. And also, you can see here that all these activities requires to have a time limit, okay? So if we expect the students to finish as one specific activity, they need to know that we expect that from them during a specific period of time. If we don't do that, their brains is gonna start to dream and go everywhere but in the live class. So they may not be in class. So therefore, I think that during these specific moments, it's important for the students to be completely active, right? So they should be doing something. They cannot be passive. If they are passive, that's the problem. So they should be active. Their brain should be focused on something, and there should be a time limit. If we don't set time boundaries, we won't be able to achieve the objective of the task or the lesson, right? So, and there's something else that I really want to share with you. It is that we can give our students time for a break whenever we finish a stage during a lesson, right? So maybe you finish your reading lesson and you can tell your student, hey, okay, let's take 2 minutes break, 3 minutes break. Why? It's important for the students to go away from the computer, relax, stretch. You can tell them go to the bathroom, get some water, grab a candy, grab some chocolates, or something. So the idea for this is for to give them the opportunity to recover from all this period of time that they have been seated and on the desk, paying attention to the equipment, to the teacher. So we want them to relax because we're going to continue with another stage of the class, right? And this is important. Why? Because it substitutes what they do when they were in a face-to-face class. If you remember, in a face-to-face environment, when the students were in the class, right, what they did to relax was like to go to the bathroom. Like they say, teacher, can I go to the bathroom? And they just went there and relax, or they just stand up and go to talk with their classmates, or they just stand up and go to talk with the teacher. So these are moments of relaxation, and we don't want to lose these moments, right? We want them to keep them relaxed, feel good, and ready to continue with the next part of the lesson. Okay, so this is my first lesson. I don't know if with what I shared, dear Juan, answer your question, or do you have something else to add or to contribute or share? And Juan was the
Yes.
colleague that made a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's okay, Mr. Juan. Ms. Rafaela has already explained the question that you asked before. I think Mr. Juan is now in Facebook Live, maybe for the connection. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let me continue with the second lesson I learned. I also learned that monitoring in breakout rooms is extremely productive. I'm not saying that monitoring in a face-to-face environment is not productive. Of course, that's what we really want. But for now, we have this, right? We have virtual sessions, we have Zoom, so we need to take advantage of it. And one of the advantage I realized when monitoring in breakout rooms is that we as teachers, we monitor in a silent way, okay? Because we have our cameras off, because we have our microphones off, and we're just like eardropping. And this is an opportunity to get first-hand information on who or which of the students is getting the lesson, who is not getting the lesson, who needs help on pronunciation, who needs help on vocabulary, who needs help on grammar, right? Because I think, well, in my experience, I know you guys, my colleagues, but in a face-to-face class, I didn't have the same experience. It was a little bit difficult for me to clearly identify who is getting it, who is not getting it, who is failing on grammar or pronunciation or vocab. But in breakout rooms, you get immediately, okay, this student needs help on this, I need to make feedback on this, and so on. So I think monitoring in breakout rooms is extremely productive, and we need to take advantage of it, right? And we cannot do it at the same time, right? Because we need to just jump from one room to the other, but that's fine. That's what we have, right? Okay. So the other thing that I learned during this transition period, right, is that the students appreciate regular communication. And when I say this, is that since everything happens overnight, right? We were not prepared. The students were not prepared on what they were gonna do. And apart from that, all of us were facing several situations, right? We had started to have, economic crisis. So the students have some uncertainties about their education, maybe all of us were worried about our health, our life. Imagine how difficult it may be that apart from to be worried because of our lives, we need to be worried because of the economy, our jobs, our families, and things like that, right? So in order to diminish this, that what some teachers have done, especially university level, is to create a WhatsApp group, right? Through the WhatsApp group, it allowed the students to have immediate and direct communication with the teacher, where they can ask, about test dates, increase about assignments, in more instructions because they didn't understand how to use the platform, how to use some websites and things like that. And apart from that, we give them the opportunity to share what they were going through, because in my case, my students communicate, teacher, I have health problems, I have family problems, I don't have internet, I don't have a computer, I will go to, I have only data on WhatsApp, but I cannot connect to Zoom because I don't have internet on my phone. So and this was an opportunity to show flexibility to the students, right? So they communicate, they trust, we show flexibility, we show care, and obviously it was extremely important to provide a timely response toward these needs given by the students, right? So therefore, I think that and the students respond positively to the opportunities we give them, because we understand what they were going through. We give them chances, we give them more opportunities, we show flexibility, and they respond positively to this. So with this, I don't want to say that some teachers should be available 24/7. I'm not saying that, but we need to show care and we need to provide timely responses so that the students feel that there is a present teacher, that the teacher is there to respond to their needs, and they don't feel alone, because even though we don't want to, that's the only way we can communicate, right now we don't have the possibility to go to our schools and interact face to face with our students. Okay, so this is my lesson number 3. This is what I learned. And this now I'm going to share with you the lesson number 4. Okay, my lesson number 4 is that students and teachers learn together. I know it's a myth that, you know, generation 0 and Z are native digital users. Okay, and some of us may think this because our students, the learners, are very talented on using Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, and all of that kind of social media. But it doesn't mean that they can learn by using a platform or using educational websites or tools, right? It doesn't make them skillful on educating on themselves to receive formal education, right? So therefore, I think that students and teachers learn on the go. And you know, when we want our students to use a new website or a new app, right, that we want them to use, they need to sign up, right? So apart from signing up, they need to get a confirmation email, they need to change the password, they need to get a class codes, and apart from that, they need to learn to wander around the tool, and the teacher needs to make sure that they are on the place we want them to be. And all of this takes time, right? And some of the students may fail on this because they don't have internet, because they are working on the cell phone. So all of this became a mess, right? So this is a matter of try, fail, and try again, right? So I know that all of us have gone through these moments. Like we want them to incorporate, we're happy to incorporate a new website, a new tool, a new app, but then some students just can be on the same page as we are, right? So I think we as teachers need to be sensitive with ourselves. We need to be prepared uh, to have failures, but at the same time we need to make peace with it, because this is how our changes are made. So changes require time, changes are made of transitions are made of struggles, and at the end of the day, maybe next year or in 2 years, we are going to become experts on this, and not only us but our students as well. So we are going to become very instructed on how to use, you know, websites and apps and things like that, and our students as well. So they are going to get used to this mode of education. So my lesson number 5, and this is my last lesson, okay? Lesson number 5 is that I learned that the students learn to be responsible for their own learning. So I would like to share with you these quotes. The author is unknown to me, but what it expresses really touched my heart and my mind. It says, to us, the ultimate goal of education is to spark a pursuit of knowledge in the child so that they can keep on learning as they grow into whoever they choose to be. In other words, so we want our students to become independent learners so that they can learn how to learn, and at the same time be critical thinkers on what they are learning, right? So that's the purpose of online education. I know that it has been said a lot about distance learning, flipped classroom, blended learning, and this new trend of education has brought with it a new perspective, a new look on how the student and the teacher should be seen. As we all know, in a face-to-face class, the teacher is seen as the expert, you know, the person who brings the knowledge, and the students who usually come to class without preparation just come to class, sit, and wait for the teacher to teach, or wait for the to receive input, right? But this new model of education has created a new duty for the students, which is come to prepare to class. Okay, because in online education, students need to complete some activities before attending live class sessions. They need to complete pre-assignments, they need to read text, they need to take notes, they need to watch some videos before attending the classes. So online education has brought with it, as I said, a new characteristics of the learner. So the learner in this mode of education needs to be a contributor, needs to be a supporter, and needs to be an active participant. If they come to class prepared with some sort of knowledge in advance, right? They can support each other during class. They can assimilate what they are learning better, and they can explore more on the topic because this may arise some inquiries in them, and all of them may be active participants. If they don't have anything to contribute with during a live class sessions, they become passive. When a person is passive, feels bored, they think they are not learning, right? So we want to avoid that, right? And the new duty for the teachers and the students is to be prepared before attending class sessions. And we as teachers have to help our students to cultivate this habit, right? They need to be independent learners. They need to be disciplined. They need to be organized, and they need to pay attention on what they are doing. If because they may do something, but if they don't pay attention, they cannot. The learning cannot happen, right? So we need to help our students to cultivate this skill because this is a skill, and the skills are built by habits, right? So we have that responsibility as teachers. We need to provide the students the opportunity in order to cultivate little by little these habits so that they become a skillful on independent learners. And I identified this situation because a few days ago, some of my colleagues told me that this was a problem of Minister of Education because the students were required to deliver a portfolio, right? And it was a total failure because apparently just a very very low percent of the total population of the students deliver their portfolio, they deliver their homework. Is because that they are not used to be independent learners. They are just to go into the class, wait for the teacher to send homework, and do the homework after the class. So they haven't we haven't actually teachers, we haven't cultivated the habit of being prepared before class. We haven't cultivated the habit of becoming independent learners. So I think this is the challenge of the is going to be the challenge of the teachers for next year, 2021. So I think we have a great responsibility on this, and also parents have a great responsibility on this, okay? Because at the beginning they will need more help. We need to monitor more often than before until they get the track on their own, okay? So these were my 5 lessons that I learned. But before finishing my presentation, I would like to hear your opinion. I would like to hear your experience. Well, not here, but maybe you can share in a written form your experience, your lessons. I want you to share with us something that you think that may be helpful for other teachers, okay? So if Andres, if you allow me to, I'm going to send a link in the chat box, right? For you to share with the community your experience, what lessons you have learned that you think may be helpful or useful for another teachers.
Sounds great.
Okay,
You're gonna send the link in the chat box, yes?
yes, please. Okay, so let me share with you the link in the chat box.
Ya.
Okay, there you go. Please open the link in the chat
Todavía
box.
no vienen los papás.
Okay, so I want to, you can post, this is Padlet, you can post here your experience. What lessons, let me share with you again my question. And I'm going to give you some time for you to think about something that you would like to share with this community. And if you're watching from Facebook or YouTube, please leave your comments, okay? Because this is an opportunity to share, okay? So my question for you guys is, what lessons have you learned during the pandemic teaching experience? What things you consider important to share with other colleagues that may be useful or helpful for them, okay? So please feel free to share your lessons or your experience or something. So in the meantime, Andres, this has been my presentation. I already shared with you my 5 lessons. I hope you
Mhm.
find them useful, and I'm expecting to see your experiences, the things that you want to share, dear colleagues.
Yes. Okay, teachers, you can add your text in the Padlet, okay, that Rafaela has already shared with us. So you can write your opinion or respond this question now. What lessons have you learned during the pandemic teaching experience?
Okay,
Okay, so from your experience, you can make a comment about what you already learned. Okay, I would say something, Rafaela, no?
mm-hmm.
Well, something that I really noticed that was very important in this pandemic time is that many teachers, okay, we have really opened our eyes, and we have opened our wide entrepreneur person that we have inside, no? I mean that because I could see that some teachers learn technological tools and then can provide support, for example, in YouTube channels. Okay, somebody can tell me, okay, but that's for monetizing. No, I don't think so. I think that's for support, because when you are introducing new content for educational tools, you are helping other people. In this case, your students. Many people come and join into your channel, and they visited you not only because you are a famous person. It is because you are sharing content, you are helping them, especially a specific audience, no? Teenagers, young adults, students. In English is widely abroad, so many people want to learn. Adults, young adults, teenagers, professionals, everybody, I see it, no?
Yes, definitely, Andres. You're totally right. Of course. So we have found a lot of help through YouTube channels like the one you have provided right now. These opportunities are extremely helpful for us. Yes, you're totally right. Let me share with you and read some of the comments that our colleagues have shared with us. Okay. So let's see. Oh, I have learned to use many apps and tools that help engage our students. Definitely. Yes, yes. We have like updated our knowledge of tools, right? I have learned that pandemic has given important lessons such as applications, devices. Yes, definitely, right? We have learned to be more aware on how to use these electronic devices like computers, tablets, cell phones, right? Maybe before we didn't pay a lot of attention to that, but now we pay attention more to that. Another thing that some of our colleagues have shared is that I have learned to plan my time according to Zoom platform, 40 minutes. Wow, that's extremely important. I have gotten a great experience using Wheel Fortunes. Yes, that I love that one too. To engage students in class, of course. And something good about Wheel Fortune is that we can also incorporate it when we get back to our face-to-face classes. Another comment says, I have learned that we should establish good rapport with our students at the beginning so our students feel confident enough to participate actively in the class. Yes, this is extremely important. If we establish good rapport with the students, we avoid, those awkward moments when everybody's like, you know,
Yeah.
silent and mute and they are not speaking. So giving them the opportunity to feel confident allow them to be more open to participate. Yes. And another comment, I have learned a lot about it is very tired and maybe I will be sick if I continue working more hours like this. I love to teach, but we need to change this way. Yes, I know, I understand. We are going all through the same situation. I get easily tired by teaching through Zoom. Actually, it's tiring. Yes, you're totally right. I really miss face to face, but we have to adapt, right? This is the challenge we have now. One of the most important things I've learned while we're in isolation is to take care of myself and to include to self-educate. Yes, you're totally right. So this has been the perfect moment to educate ourselves about new strategies to online learning. Yes, definitely. Of course. I totally
Right.
agree. Yes, Andres, you wanted to say
Let
something?
me read something. Rafaela, let me say, Yvonne Carrillo says that first, we have learned the importance of trying professional learning directly to time students' needs. Second, we have recognized that we must provide space and time for learning that teachers need, and we want. Third, the value of creating different designs for learning. I also agree with that. There are very specific terms for learning, no?
Yes, yes, there are different things we can do to create new things for the students, right? I think that also this has awakened our creativity. As Yvonne says, maybe when we get back to the face-to-face class, we're gonna have more source resources to prepare our classes. Definitely, I agree with you.
Yes, sure.
Okay, I don't know if there's something else I could share with you or something that you would like to share with us, maybe.
Okay, teachers, at this moment, I think that it's time if you want to provide us an experience or make a comment about the topic that we were commenting now. So you feel free and you can write a text or you can use your microphone to speak. Okay. So if you want to participate, just do it. Okay.
Rafael, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You were
Okay,
talking
Natalie, you
about
can
the,
ask.
oh, thank you. You were talking about the time limit and how important it is to say that when their students are working. How do you deal with that? Can you share it with us?
Uh,
Uh, because sometimes we are, we're like 5 minutes left, 4 minutes left. For some students, it works, but for mothers, it's like, oh my God, don't tell that, don't tell the time. And that's the first question. And my second question is like the importance of the roles when they're working in collaborative work. Let's say you are the leader, you are the maybe the person that who is going to speak when they are working in a group, for example. Thank you,
ah,
Rafaela.
The
thank
role
you.
assignments, you mean?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Thank you, Dalila, for your question. That's a very good
Yes,
question.
it is very interesting.
And well, let me tell you that right now my experience with online education has been with college students. So my students are a little bit adults. They are maybe 18, 19. And what I do with setting time boundaries is just to tell them here. But we as teachers need to know that how long it's gonna take to accomplish this activity. If we know that it's very long, we need to give them like 20 minutes. It's short, like just five. But at the beginning, you may find difficult, as you said, 10 minutes left, 3 minutes left, and they haven't finished. And that's totally fine. So don't worry, relax, Dalila. Some of them may finish, some of them they will not, or some of them they will finish on the track or during the revision period. So don't worry, it's okay. But as time goes by, they will get used to it because they know that there is going to be a time limit, and they know at some point of the academic year that they need to finish, and we need to push a little bit more and more every day. So at the beginning, relax, don't worry, but later they will get more skillful on completing things or being it also depends on how they connect with their classmates. So, okay, you do this, you do that, and we finished it. So don't worry, it's a matter of adaptation and flexibility. So just give them some time and relax yourself. Regarding the other question, I don't understand what you mean, like establishing the roles of the students, because when you give instructions to the students before they start developing a task, we need to be very clear. Okay, so first you need to decide who's going to
To
present.
model.
You need, yeah, the model or the whoever. You need to decide who is going to prepare the slide. I don't know. So we need to be very clear during instructions what they are going to do. If they don't have clear this, when they go to breakout rooms and when they go to work together, it's going to take more time than expected. So I think everything depends on the clearness of the instructions when we give them.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you.
very
You're
clear.
welcome. Mhm.
Any other questions, teachers, that you would like to ask? Well,
Okay,
I would like
they're
to share
shy
something.
today.
Okay, me, Raquel.
Can I?
Okay, Raquel, yes, let's go on. It's okay. Welcome.
Luz Maria.
Ah, Luz Maria, hello. Yes,
Yeah.
you can go on, miss.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, thank you and congratulations, Rafaela. You have
Thank
mentioned,
you.
I think, most of the most important lessons that all teachers, not only in Ecuador but in the world, we have faced, and we have struggled with them. However, as you know, and everybody knows that teachers are like resilient, that we tend to accomplish and achieve very everything that we want.
Yes.
And believe me that from my experience being a teacher in a high school, in a public high school in Loja, I have learned a lot, and I agree with many of your experiences that, for example, with the camera, one of the rules in my school is that students must have the camera on. However, I believe that I disagree with that, and probably I am the one that I break the rules sometimes. I tell my students, and I say you can have the camera on when I am giving instructions, when I am explaining something, but after you can turn on because every student has a different environment at home, so we cannot demand that. I also agree with you when you mentioned that students and teachers learn together. Especially, we are working with native digitals, so our students have also taught a lot about technology, about dealing with technology.
Yes.
And something else from my experience, I have learned a lot about different apps, different applications. And when I talk to different teachers with different colleagues, everybody or everyone is telling a different thing. And I am using those things that they are telling, and I applying in my classes. And this is what we call communities of practice, and that means that we as teachers we learn from teachers, and we learn from others. And I
Mhm.
think that this space that Andres is creating for Ecuadorian teachers is a great opportunity to learn from teachers, to learn from something, because not other people are telling us, not other people, we are teachers, we are facing the same situation. So thank you very much, Rafaela. Thank you for
Thank you,
Andres,
Luz
and thank you
Maria.
all the colleagues that are listening to this. I found this really interesting. Congratulations. Thank you.
So glad to
Thank you,
hear
Luz Maria.
that. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Luz Maria, for sharing a little bit from you. And yes, we are on the same page, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, teacher, so you have another comment? You will say something or you have any other question? Okay, Rafaela, I will say something, no? Do you it's according to the topic that Dalila says from the beginning when you prepare top no it's not about the role assignment, no? I remember was when I made a TESOL course, okay, one of the things that I learned from that is when you explain something or you give instructions to your students, you have to model, you have only to watch how they do in before they before they can do their activity. So in this case, for example, you can also you can also model the activity and also made a rehearsal like a practice, no, the pre activity, the pre activity, so you the students can see like a feedback, no, if they are doing right or wrong or how they can improve that in that moment. So for the real in the real assignment, no, when they know that they're going to be assessed by you in this case, so they feel more confident and they are highly motivated to do the activity, no.
Yeah, so what you have said is totally related checking instructions. Like we need to make sure that they have understood.
Yes.
Apart from modeling what they are going to do, we need to check by making questions if instructions were clear or not. And yes, you're totally right. we need to model the activity so that they have like a clear picture of what they are going to do. Yes, I totally agree with you, Andres.
Okay, teachers, somebody else would like to make another question? So, Rafael, I think that the topic that you have already presented was very important. Okay, and I see that many teachers have already completed the Padlet, so you can read the suggestions. You will have more time to read it, no? And I see that teachers could agree more often with the idea that we can use the cameras on to see our students. In some cases, there are some exceptional cases where it depends on the time or the background what you can use then. Okay, so um, meanwhile, I think that we teachers have to follow some procedures, no, and our students can do it, can follow it. It's very important, no, even for the virtual sessions and when we are face-to-face classes. So thank you so much, Rafaela, for your intervention, for your presence
Thank
here,
you for the
because it's
opportunity,
a
Andres.
yes, it's a really exciting contribution. And thanks you all teachers for your commitment to be part. I know that it's not easy to be on Saturday 5 p.m. here, but it talks too much about you, about that you are eager to learn, that you want to improve, and I see it like a wonderful eyes. No, thank you so much. You are invited for the next presentation the next Saturday 5 p.m. Okay,
Thank you,
so
teachers. Thank you, dear colleagues. See you on the opportunity, and thank you, Andres. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye
have a
bye.
grateful weekend. Thanks, Rafaela. Goodbye, everybody. Have a nice weekend.